friends. Dean here with DSP Gaming. Today I want to just talk about YouTube, and I've did a long rant about this quite a while ago, but I find myself spending probably more time on YouTube than I do, certainly watching television, or sometimes even more than playing games. If I have a long work week and I'm just tired every day, putting in long hours, physically wiped out, sometimes going through the mental gymnastics and the hand-eye coordination of a video game can be a little bit taxing, so I find myself gravitating towards watching YouTube videos instead. A lot of times I'm curious about games that I used to play in the old days, or ones that I had never played, and it's a wonderful way to see gameplay. Whether it's a Steve Benway that's kind of just picking up a game, putting it in for the first time and doing it, or someone doing a speed run that knows the game inside and out. I find it fascinating. So YouTube is kind of a wonderful place, and I place a much higher value on it than I have anything in the way of cable TV. I mean, we paid for cable TV a few years ago because we were signed into a contract, but I virtually never ever watched it. I don't like the news. I don't want to hear what's going on. I mean, I already know as it is through my news feeds, through my internet, but I'm just not interested in just commercial television. Okay, it's Thursday night at 8 o'clock. That means I got to stop everything I'm doing and watch the show, whatever. So I like YouTube because it's always there. You can find videos that were done in 2009 of old gameplay or what have you, or fun, game trailers, game previews. Even back when the game Rage was in development, it was just great to sit and watch screenshots and people from id Software showing how they were developing the game and everything. It's just fascinating. I really kind of got hooked on YouTube early on. And again, I did a rant, God, I think it was earlier this year, maybe last year, on why I love YouTube and how I started my own show on it. This is more of a rant as to what I do, what I look for in YouTube. And I have many, many friends. I got like 130 YouTube channels that I subscribe to, so forgive me if I don't mention your channel. I don't want anyone to feel left out. There's so many wonderful channels. Sometimes I can barely watch a portion of everyone's programs and shows. I try to naturally the things that interest me, the games that I like. I have a lot of people that comment, fans and friends that comment on my own channel. I try to watch their channels religiously. Sometimes I can. Sometimes I get behind, 3-4 weeks, and then I'll have a marathon and catch up. Kind of like a DVD box set, which is kind of cool. So it's neat. I mean, YouTube is wonderful for how-to videos quite often. In fact, recently I was having problems, with my HD PVR2, and I went on there and tried to find information. Okay, now how can you use this newer PVR to record older retro gameplay? There was very little on it, kind of generic information. So, and I used it a long time ago to find out how to install RAM in an older computer. I'd never opened a PC up before, so it's been quite helpful. I also watched some AdamKoralik, I think his name is, did a wonderful series of YouTube videos on how to go through and repair and clean an old original Xbox and PlayStation 2 and Super NES and Sega Genesis, and it's just great to go through and see how-to videos. I never get tired of them. I just find it fascinating. YouTube is a wonderful way to express yourself, whether someone's making it a wonderful dinner and they want to show how they put all their favorite ingredients in, or typically for me it's obviously game related. I mean, the bulk 80+% of what I look at are gameplay videos. Phil at DSP Gaming, I watch a tremendous amount of his playthroughs. Sometimes I'll have the game and I'll watch the very game that I have that either I've played a little of or haven't played, and I'm curious. So I'll watch usually about an hour to 2 hours. Giant Bomb usually does about 2 hours of gameplay of most games. That what was it, Ride to Hell, something, I think Retribution or something like that. It was one of the worst games ever made. It came out a year or so ago. I watched Ryan Davis did 2 hours of gameplay with Jeff Gertzman, and it was great because I wanted to see how bad the game was. I certainly don't want to spend the money and buy it and find out the hard way and then be stuck with it. So it's fun to watch gameplay of supposedly bad games or good games. As you know, feel that that's extremely subjective as to what is a bad game or a good game. But it's still, I like to hear and I respect everyone's opinions, right or wrong, good or bad on a game. And I don't have a problem accepting everyone's, 2 cents on it. Sometimes people I find are overly nitpicky and critical, but even still, I like to hear what they have to say. I like to see all sides of something. I just ordered a game called Shell Shock 2, I think it's called Blood Trails for the PlayStation 3. I had a hard time finding it. I used to have it years ago on the 360. And I played a little bit of it and I didn't like it and I couldn't remember it, so I found myself watching gameplay videos of it. In fact, recently my friend Mikey at his Mad Max 09 channel did a little bit of gameplay and his impressions of it. And it was neat to see someone else's take on the game. And it's gotten a lot of bad reviews, but I found myself watching the entire 6-hour playthrough of the game. There were a couple playthroughs on YouTube. One of them was actually done a few years ago. And the guy had some interesting commentary on it, and I just found myself, I was just going to watch it, a little bit of it, and I got hooked on it. So even a bad game sometimes, or, quote bad game, you can get kind of sucked into, and you can see through the eyes of someone else why they like it, what their gripes are with it, why it works, why it doesn't. And either way, I find it fascinating. I watched the entire, 175-part playthrough of Dead Island in co-op on Phil at DSP's channel, and I found it fascinating to see a wonderful humorous co-op session with 4 guys all on their mics and headphones, and I couldn't stop watching it. I mean, I spent a week and a half trying to plow through every single one. So I know I have a lot of YouTube friends that don't understand how can you watch playthroughs. I don't know, but there's a lot of channels that do them, so there must be a demand for it. Sometimes I wonder if I'm the only one that watches those kind of playthroughs. I can't do it as much as I used to do it. 3 years ago, I watched a tremendous amount of them. I watch maybe 2 or 3 a year now of an entire game in playthrough. I think XCOM the Bureau is one of the last ones that I watched all the way through religiously, and it was I was glued to it. Sometimes I'll get stuck on a level, and it's just neat to see what the fuck? Why can't I figure this out? Why can't I get through this? So I go through and I'll try to find out where they are in the similar place in the game, and then I'll go, oh, that's how they got through it, So YouTube for me is extremely informative and helpful. I find it constructive. I find it far better than television. Games that I'm researching, I just got, I bought this game in Strategy Guide, the Shell Shock NOM 67, and sometimes if you can't find the guides, I'll go through and I'll just you can go on IGN. Sometimes there'll be different channels, whether it's via YouTube or just via the net, and you can find a walkthrough or playthrough. Again, there's just wonderful game trailers sometimes just to get inspired for a game I'm thinking about buying. I'll watch the original trailer for it. I'll take a cross section of a variety of reviews, good and bad, and watch them. And I can see myself playing that, and I'll plop down, the $15 to buy it used, or $20 or whatever, or order it off from eBay or what have you if I really like it. Sometimes it triggers a memory of great times back in the 90s when I see someone doing some gameplay of, Duke Nukem Time to Kill. I go, man, I got to get that game again. And then I find myself going out and buying it, for the PS1 again or what have you. Now that I've got some exciting news. I've got, a PlayStation. I mean, not a PlayStation. I mean, I got a PlayStation 2 as well, but I got a PS2. Last year, as you know, I got 2 PS1s, and I've recently got 2 original Xboxes in mint condition, and I've also recently just picked up, finally, an original 1991 Super NES, and I've got any day, it should be here today, supposedly, I've got Model 1 Sega Genesis. It's finally arriving, so it's great, and I'm going to do a video of that coming up here pretty soon, but a lot of the research that I'm doing on games, because it's been so long. I had a pile of games for my Super NES that was probably 30 inches high, and I forgot half of the games. I can only remember a portion of them. So it's nice to go through and watch everyone's top 10, top 20, top 50 Super NES games, hidden gems, original Xbox games that they like, and that's where YouTube is rich for me. It's just very valuable. And then you go, oh, I remember that game now. Now I've got to get that one. Dave at Lawn Boys Post 1975 just did some wonderful gameplay of the old, the Batman game from Sunsoft, and it was just great to see that game. I remembered playing that at a friend's house a million years ago on his Genesis, and I said, God, that has to be one of the first games I'm going to get. I love that Batman game. Just recently I've watched my friend Mikey, who had, he's got like 500 videos in his channel, Mad Max 09. He's done a lot of 16-bit, game impressions and gameplay videos. So I spent, 2 days going through and watching the bulk of all of his Sega Genesis and Super NES and PlayStation 1, gameplay videos. And I saw the, RoboCop versus Terminator video that he did, that it was so cool. And that's actually one of the games that I'm getting with that Sega Genesis. So I'm excited. It's just great to get, inspired and to see what's out there. I've got lots of friends. Some of them are more comedic. I love the commentary of, Dave at Long Boys Post 1975. Very comedic. Evohaler, I love watching his videos, just the kind of meandering rants that he does, and very laid back and very humorous. So many wonderful friends. I can't think of all of them. Steve Benway, I love his Friday talkies, and when he's outdoors, for an hour just walking and talking about things that are important to him and his recollections of gaming, like myself, I find it fascinating. I never get tired of it. I still love, Mark Bussler, Classic Game Room. I can't keep on top of all of his videos like I used to, but I just love going back and watching my favorite reviews of his. It's just a rich cornucopia of content on YouTube. Lots of how-to videos, wonderful gameplay videos. I love game reviews, as I've mentioned. I watch a lot of music videos, old Wang Chung videos and heavy metal videos from the 80s and the early wonderful days of MTV and the Headbangers Ball and all that. I love that kind of stuff, and so it's great for that. Old videos for films like Escape from New York or what have you. It's great to see people's impressions of new DVDs and Blu-rays coming out, and special editions and unboxing videos. It's just never ending what there is on YouTube. I also watch a lot of really cool, I'm subscribed to a few, not too many, but a few really cool kind of street racing videos with lots of raw on the street racing vids of guys racing on the highways. Some of it's illegal, some of it is legal street racing as well on the track. But it's just great to watch. I love my car videos. I have a whole array of them that I watch, and I'll add them to my favorites. And I just never get tired of watching some guy hauling ass in an old Ferrari or something, and it's just entertaining. I love what it offers. It blows cable TV out of the water for me personally. So it's exciting. I like to watch people's pickup videos. Naturally, that's one of my favorite things, whether they're picking up Blu-rays or DVDs or something at a thrift store in the way of an old game or something. It never gets old. So let me know in the comments the things that you like. What do you watch the most on YouTube? What are you fascinated with? I know some of you could care less about watching gameplay videos. Some of you are more interested in vlogs. There's nothing like a great vlog, and I love doing a lot of those myself. And I have many favorite channels that I like to watch in the way of vlogs, like Steve Benway, which I really enjoy, or a shorter vlog like Dave at Long Boys Post 1975. I certainly enjoy his as well. Rob at MaximumRD, another wonderful channel, and I also follow him on Facebook. Has a lot of really great old retro, things in there as well. I certainly enjoy his channel. I'm getting more into the retro gaming, so I have a whole bunch of new UK friends. Retro Unlimited, as you know, they're just chock full of great guys. I'm slowly getting to know all of them and their channels. Monkey Spaz, 5000, recently did some wonderful gameplay of Sniper Elite 3, and he saw one of my impressions videos, and then I found out he loved the game, and then he bought it, and then did a couple gameplay videos, which I really enjoyed, very entertaining. So there's a great array of channels out there. I'll have a bunch of them in my descriptions, the ones that I've mentioned, and then of course, on my recommended channels list, I have a few of them there. Again, I'm kind of new to a lot of it, so bear with me, and I again apologize if I've left out any of your channels. There's so many wonderful channels, so many great channels that I really value and place a value on is friends. It's another thing I love about YouTube is it's a community. You kind of have that on Facebook and Twitter too, but I like YouTube because it's just raw and it's personal. The guy runs a camera, he pontificates into it as the things that he's passionate about, you know, right or wrong, that's him. You get to see a cross-section of the world, a cross-section of America, or people in the UK or Australia, and how they live, what they like, the things that are important to them. That's what I like about it. It really is a great way to make new friends and to join into a community that ordinarily perhaps you wouldn't get to know these people. So it connects the world. So YouTube has been a miraculous thing for me. I really love it. Like I said, I spend a lot of time, sometimes more time on YouTube than I do gaming, which is why my backlog of games is getting pretty far behind. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Leave in the comments the things that you love about YouTube, what you dislike about it, the things that you watch the most, that you find are the most fascinating and take up the biggest bulk of your time. I really like to hear it. So I appreciate your time, guys. Enjoy your games and enjoy your YouTube videos. I know I do. Thanks.